Watch this. I'm going to turn the singer-songwriter performance
I do.
into a full-blown dance production.
I do. Wanna spend every day of my life with you.
Using the brand new Chord ID feature, Synth session players, and updates to the step sequencer. And these are just some of the new features that come with Logic Pro for Mac 12 and Logic Pro for iPad 3. Apple has just put Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, Pixelmator Pro, and the rest of the Creative App Suite into a single monthly subscription for $13 a month US, and they're calling it Apple Creator Studio. Hi, I'm Chris, and I teach Logic Pro, and today we're going to focus on what's new in both versions of Logic Pro for Mac and iPad, and what Apple Creator Studio means for you. Now, this bundle includes Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, and Pixelmator Pro, both versions for the Mac and iPad, Mac versions of Mainstage, Compressor, and Motion, and premium versions of Keynote, Numbers, and Pages. Pricing is at $12.99 a month or $129 US a year. And there's education pricing for students and educators at $2.99 a month or $29.99 a year. And up to 6 family members can share all of the apps and contents that come included with Apple Creator Studio with family sharing. Apple Creator Studio is available today, January 28th, but for those who rather purchase their apps, can still buy the apps individually from the App Store for the Mac versions as a one-time purchase. Now, I'm not going to dig into all these different apps that come with this bundle in today's video because this is a Logic Pro channel, but with the release of Apple Creator Studio also comes brand new versions and updates for Logic Pro for Mac and iPad, and that we will cover. However, if you find yourself as a creative these days wearing many different hats, not just creating music, but also creating video content or imagery for social media or elsewhere, Apple Creator Studio might check a lot of boxes for the things that you need to just do your creative thing. But let's now focus on Logic Pro. Here's what's new. First, let me show you some of the new features in Logic Pro for iPad 3, which I think are going to be hugely appreciated by the users. As always, Logic Pro for iPad includes in-app lessons to help you learn your way around. And this update includes new lessons such as work with takes and comps. In this latest update, quick swipe comping, or choosing different sections of different takes inside a take folder, is now available to Logic Pro for iPad users. To get started, you just tap and swipe across the portion of the take that you want to promote. Now I've selected this portion of take 2 for this guitar take folder. Let's take a quick listen to the guitar. All right, that sounds pretty good. I want to hear the exact same portion, but of take 3. To do that, I'm just going to tap on the exact same section of take 3 to switch the take. From here, I can move the take left or right just by clicking and dragging on that take. And I can adjust the left and right boundaries of a take to further refine the selection. Just like with take folders in Logic Pro for Mac, we also have further options right next to the drop-down arrow of a take folder to switch between different comps or takes, as well as duplicate a comp. So now I have 2 comps. If I switch back to A and switch the take and switch to comp B, I've now preserved 2 different versions of this comp. I can also rename a comp, delete a comp, flatten, export, move an active comp to a new track, or unpack. If I flatten the take folder disappears, and all I'm left with are the 3 takes that I chose from that take folder. Logic Pro for iPad now also includes musical understanding when searching for loops. So no longer do you have to know the exact title of a loop that you're searching for, but instead you can use natural language to search for loops to match the sound that you're after. For example, if I type in lo-fi, there's an option under the search results to choose for either sounds like lo-fi or name contains lo-fi or a tag called lo-fi. I'll search for sounds like lo-fi. All right, and let's take a listen to some of these loops. And once I find the sound that I'm looking for, if I want to further refine the results of my search when searching for loops, I can just click, hold, and drag that loop to the top to search for similar sounds. And the results adapt. Both of those sound pretty cool in my opinion. And with the new Chord ID in both versions of Logic Pro, this will be huge when you want to start loading session players into your projects. All you have to do is just click, hold, and drag a region into the chord track at the top. Logic Pro will analyze the chords of that performance and populate the chord track with the appropriate chords. So if I wanted to bring in that Desert Mirage intro pad, with the brand new synth session players, our synth session player will know exactly what to play. There also has been an update to selection in Logic Pro for iPad when selecting different regions and tracks, and a drop-down menu for other types of selections. I'll now cut over to Logic Pro for Mac 12 to show you the rest of the new features. Now heads up, Logic Pro now has two separate versions. The one-time purchase version where you purchase Logic Pro by itself from the App Store, and then there's the Apple Creator Studio version of Logic Pro for Mac 12. Both versions enjoy the same updates, but when you subscribe to Apple Creator Studio, all of the apps that are part of the bundle have their own distinct icons to help differentiate them from those one-time purchase versions. Logic Pro for Mac 12 enjoys many of the same headline features as Logic Pro for iPad 3. And one thing that Logic Pro for Mac gets from iPad is the much improved Sound Library Manager, providing a search field and different categories that you can dig into, like sound packs, artist producer packs, instrument packs, session player instruments and loops, and essential and compatibility packs. By clicking on a category, you can dig in deeper, and you can click on a sound pack to learn more about its contents, and we can even preview. And going back, you can manage all your different sound packs right from the upper left-hand corner. So from here, you can update, you can delete, you can install the many different sound packs that come with Logic Pro. And under Logic Pro Settings and General Settings, there's now a dedicated tab for the sound library, which makes it way easier to locate and relocate that Logic Pro content library. Way simpler sound library management, and honestly, I think it's a lot more fun. Just like in Logic Pro for iPad, Logic Pro for Mac includes the brand new Chord ID feature. Just by dragging and dropping a region, whether it's MIDI or audio, into the chord track, Logic Pro will analyze and extract any chords it identifies from that region and load those chords into the chord track automatically. So no longer do you have to manually add chords one at a time, specifying all the different details of a chord. Instead, you just drag and drop into the chord track. I have a singer-songwriter performance here. Let's listen to the first line or two.
I do.
Okay, so I'm going to drag the piano region right into the chord track. Logic Pro then analyzes and extracts any chords it finds. Again, this works for both MIDI and audio. Now that I have chord information, I can start loading session players to play along. Along with drummer, bass player, and keyboard player, Apple is now also introducing synth session players. And the synth category can be found under both bass player and keyboard player. I'm actually going to load 3 session players, and I'll customize using the session player editor. The session player editor looks the same as if you were using drummer, keyboard player, or bass player, but there's now a synth category with different options: simple pad, modulated pad, and rhythmic chords. With the simple pad, we have simple controls. An alchemy patch has been loaded, and we have controls for intensity, hand placement on the key bed, voicing, note start, note length, and swing. If we take a listen to just this simple pad, perfect. It follows along with the chord information extracted from the piano. Now, I'm going to switch the second synth pad from simple pad to that arrhythmic chords. The performance changes, and we have added control. There are further tabs for details, LFO, and manual patterns. And the LFO provides different shapes and symmetry, And if we go to the modulated pad, there's an additional page for envelope. So this is actually, in my opinion, a really fun way to get into synthesis. I mean, you're not necessarily programming a synth, but I find it as a fun way to kind of dip your toe into working with synths, getting a sense of what exactly do they do, but without ending up in the rabbit hole of 1,000 different knobs and envelopes and LFOs. Instead, you could just play with the controls right here. So let's hear the rhythmic chords alongside this simple pad. And with the third pad that I loaded, we're going to switch from keyboard player to bass player. And I'm going to choose the 808 bass. And once again, there are several tabs to work with our 808 bass. From the main tab to details, slides, LFO, and manual. But let's now hear these three synths together. That's pretty sick in my opinion. That's really cool. One other thing is that the synth session players can also play and control using MIDI CC external hardware instruments. So I'm going to load this external instrument. And this is my Novation Peak synth. And let's hear what it's doing right now. And if I go under the LFO, under this menu, I can change the CC target. So let's go for an incredibly awesome way to add some flavor to your productions and dig into synthesis in a way that I think is a little more approachable. Step Sequencer has also seen some updates. There's now a randomize button for each step row. And by clicking on the randomize button, we randomize the edit mode that's currently selected. But if I right click or hold Control and click on this randomize button, a menu pops up with further control. So I'm going to undo these steps. Let me now choose a different edit mode. And I'll select my hi-hat 2 and we'll zoom in. Again, I'm going to right click, and this time there are two different modes, either offset or range. This I especially love because now you can set a narrower window of randomization. Here I'll choose a velocity between 80 and 120 to randomize. And let's randomize. Check it out. Every step has been randomized at a value within that range. We can try randomizing again and again. You can also clear the randomization with this clear row button. In the Step Sequencer Inspector under Step, there are further controls for refining your repeats. Of course, you can increase repeats as you could with an edit mode. But you can also add a ramp of velocity for each repeat. You can play with the velocity curve and distribution. So if we take a listen to my beat here, plus live record mode in the Step Sequencer also captures polyphonic expression. And for those interested in Atmos, the Quantec Room Simulator now includes surround parameters for spatial mixing. Let's now circle back to who is Apple Creator Studio for, because for many of us, there's now a decision to be made. Do you purchase Logic Pro or any of these other apps outright from the App Store on the Mac, or do you subscribe for a monthly or annual rate? Well, if you're a student or educator, I think it's a no-brainer, right? $3 a month, $30 a year US. That sounds pretty amazing. If you are brand new to the creative apps and you want to be able to check them out, sign up. You have a 1-month free trial to check out the apps and see what you might actually use and need for your own creative work. If you're a multi-app user, as in you're not just using Logic Pro, but you're also using some of the other creative apps, Seems like the value is pretty substantial, and if you own Logic Pro or Final Cut Pro or any of these apps on the Mac already, nothing changes. You still own them. You still get updates. Apple isn't forcing this thing on you at all. It's just another option. So if you're not into the subscription model, that's cool. Just keep using what you own. You'll still get updates. You still have access. This is really just for those of us who are maybe interested, considering the other apps in the ecosystem, but don't want to spend hundreds of dollars to have access to them. Such as myself. I've been looking at Final Cut Pro for years, and I always stop at the $300 US price tag. But now I'm going to check out Apple Creator Studio. And here's the thing. We're all wearing 100 hats these days, right? I mean, producing, recording, mixing, marketing, creating videos, editing thumbnails, producing for social media. Apple just gave us the entire toolkit for the price of one streaming service. And for context, I pay $16 a month to edit and create thumbnails with Canva. So the value to me is huge. So the Logic Pro features are awesome, but it's bigger than that. Apple's making the entire toolkit way more accessible to way more people. And if you own Logic Pro, you still own it. You still get to enjoy it with the updates. No one's forcing this on you. But Apple Creator Studio is for those of us who are wearing all of these different hats, like myself. I'm a producer, a mixer, content creator. So the value for me, again, is humongous. All right, I'm Chris. Link in the description below for Apple Creator Studio. Let's see what we can make with this.